What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 236 of Littleroot Lessons. I'm joined by the newly promoted, newly relocated Elden Lord. Jay, how are the vibes?
I'm playing Dark Souls 1, so they're very bad. But the vibes have been good lately. I now living in Albany instead of Long Island, so new location, new me.
Yep.
I got promoted at work with my move as well, so things are going well. This is not, hopefully not, going to be my permanent location. I'm still in the wrong apartment because my floor is not in. But everything else is going pretty all right. How's things with
That
you, bud?
13 days until I say I do. And I was just saying, Amanda put the check in the mail for the venue and food, and it was a lot of money. It was like close to like 1 butt ton of money, which is again a lot. Um, Luckily, it got to the venue already, and they should have it in their hands. And yeah, at this point, I'm just waiting for my tux guy to call me and say, "Hey, your suit's done," and that's kind of it
So
until the day
all the
of.
prep phase is done.
Yeah.
It's just get ready for it.
Yep.
And as someone who just moved, I know what a 1 butt ton of money is like.
Yes.
So I am in the same boat because security deposit
Yep.
plus first month's rent
Hmm.
plus furnishing and groceries and food, like so I don't die in
Food is
here.
so expensive. So you're lucky enough that you and Alex, to my knowledge, don't have any like allergies or food restrictions. Um, I might have mentioned this in the log on the pod. So Amanda has celiac. She has a really bad gluten allergy,
Mm,
and gluten free like substitute food is so expensive. Like they just price gouge the absolute crap out of it. A pack of like 5 pieces of sourdough bread is 5.50, and they only sell
that's
them in packs of
absurd.
5 to make you buy two because you want to make a sandwich. You're not going to make a sandwich with 1 piece. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
you have
so
to have
it's
10 to make it happen.
yeah, and
Um,
it's gluten free food is so expensive. It's honestly the biggest part, outside of not being able to eat bread or pasta or drink beer, or cake. You have the substitutes, but the substitutes they're like, yeah, as if your life isn't bad enough, we're just going to make it even worse.
yeah, I know for Nabisco where I work, we have a bunch of gluten-free products and they are a family-sized price and they are smaller
Yep,
than the regular sized products that we have.
and it's
So
also
it's and they are terrible.
okay, so I've had to have these. Amanda just finished a pack of Chips Ahoy that she had, and like the Chips Ahoy, she liked them. I was on them. The Oreos honestly aren't that bad.
That was my biggest issue is I had the double stuffed gluten-free Oreos one time and I was like, get this shit off my tongue. This
And
is
so I didn't
disgusting.
think they were that bad. I didn't think they were that bad. You dunk them in milk. It's anything with the Oreo, the milk. It's good. It's fine.
Yeah, I
The
just had
issue.
the base version. I had
Oh
it while
yeah,
I was at the store. It was one of my
no,
credits. I'm like, I'm just gonna see how this tastes, and it was bad.
yeah, you can't do it dry. You got to for me. You got to do it with milk. The other thing with those products, especially when they first come out, you can't find them anywhere. When the Oreos came
Yes.
out, I went to like 4 or 5 different Stop and Shops to try to get them because not only does Amanda have this allergy, her mom, her brother. So when new products come out, it is a big family event because everyone in the family is looking for them.
Yeah, I've noticed with like the Chips Ahoy are most recent ones, and normally those are just blown off the shelf like
Yeah,
every single time I walk into the store. So I
yeah. I
always have to order an extra one on every single order.
Yeah. So it is something. This is going to be the weirdest way I get into talking about the tournament. So one of the things with like gluten allergies and stuff, it is common with people, French, Italian people, and actually one of the fun facts in Italy is that the land of pasta is actually. Very very good with people who have this allergy. Actually, you get an extra tax credit if you have like a food restriction, they actually give you extra money to help cover it. And one of the other things that the Italians are really good at, apparently, is a Pokemon VGC, specifically in Regulation H, as we could see in the Victory Road results. See, I got there.
Yeah,
I landed the plane.
I mean, they were definitely better in Reg G, considering
Yes.
we had an Italian winner and like a bunch of Italian top cutters, but obviously we have quite a few Italian players who made top cut in the Victory Road tournament. This was a very stacked tournament, 340 players. Um, some of the best players in the world are
Yeah.
were playing in this tournament. I watched Wolf's entire run, who didn't even make top cut.
Nope.
So that's just saying to the level of player here. But obviously we have players like Fede Campo, Agati,
Yep.
Marco
Tiago's
Fierro, Joe
Tiago's one of the.
Ugarte.
Yep. What was it? Yeah. Tiago, Joe, Justin Karras, Santi, Joan Garcia is an unbelievable player. And then looking at the players who missed cut, you have Giotas, Ryan Haig, Simone Sanvito, of course, Wolf Glick, Flavio, um, going down a little more, Jongso Lee. This tournament ended up being a true who's who, and this is definitely the best. If you're looking for one specific tournament to say what is the meta like, what is good in Regulation H leading up to Baltimore, this is the tournament to look at. Before we get into the teams, they actually have some usage stats for us. The top up to the top 30 Pokemon. I wish they made this more desktop friendly. But we're continuing to see this trend of Rillaboom and Goldengo being the top two Pokemon in the format.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense just given where the format has kind of gone. I mean, we still have Clear Amulet as an item, so a lot of your physical attackers will run that, but there's a lot of ghost types and clear body slash inner focus users, a lot of special attackers as well. So Incineroar isn't necessarily as strong as it typically is, but something we do see a big uptick in is um, water types. Water
Yeah.
types have been extremely strong, and Amoonguss is just something that's very popular. Pokemon that are not too happy to see Rillaboom on the other side of the field as well, like your ground and rock types. So I'm not too surprised to see Rillaboom. It's obviously a fantastic Pokemon, and yeah,
Yeah, Goldango as well. It's probably the most consistent source of damage in the format. The Specs version is doing great. The Scarf version is doing great. People are even starting to use the Terry Dragon setup version again, as we do see when we start going through teams, a lot more balancy teams starting to really appear in the format. Instant still is relatively strong. You see it with 28.1% in day one, 25% in day two. I think one of the other things, along with the fire types I'm sorry, the water types you mentioned, we do have 3 water types in the top 11, including the bestest bird. For every time you bring up I'm wrong about Entei, I will bring up how so goddamn right I was about Pelipper. Just hit that out of the park like I was Barry Bonds. Pre
yeah,
or
it's
post
actually
steroids.
good in this. It's good in this format because it does damage. Isn't that
Yeah, so
crazy? It does more
I
than just set rain.
I know. No, it's like Stellar Terra Pelly is just unbelievably good. Ask me how many times I've played Rain. As much as I love Pelipper, ask me how many times I've played a Rain team in Regulation H.
I'm gonna guess 0.
No, I don't know why. It's like I love Pelipper. I think it's great. I don't like the archetype as much for Rain. I just like the bird. The bird's fun.
I have
Um,
been using Pelipper. I've been using it a lot,
you have
so
been.
and it's pretty awesome.
I think one of the other interesting trends here, looking at the Pokemon number 3, King Gambit has been absolutely tearing it up. It is on the rise. The core of Rillaboom, Gambit, Volcarona in ninth place, and usually a fairy type such as Clefable, which is in 18th. has been one of the most dominant sorts of teams where you would have the fake out, you have the setup with Volcarona. You can either run a setup or vest King Gambit with the Sucker Punch, and you have this redirector. Again, it could be the Clefable. We've seen it be the Electabuzz. We've seen it be the Clefairy, but some sort of redirector and then other Glumons to go with it. We'll see that sort of composition a lot. But Gambit's in an unbelievable place, especially because it's able to punish these Specs Goldengos. With Sucker Punch, it's also able to punish another Sucker Punch mon we've been seeing a lot of in Dragapult, which is sneaking up in 12th.
Yeah, Polt is back. It's, taken its previous Worlds 2023 place as like this Terra Ghost, Terra Blast / Phantom Force user. Fairy types are not very prevalent in this format. We kind of really only see like Primarina and then the Clefs as like our main fairy types, and then obviously Wims as well.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of Dragon Darts immunities, and because of that, there's also not a lot of Dragon Darts resists. So you're able to pretty freely click that button and do massive chip damage to basically anything on the opposing side of the field. Having Clear Body as well makes you immune to Intimidate. So those Incineroars are not as threatening as per usual. Obviously, you don't want to take a knockoff with your Bolt, but you still get that full powered attack off and get to play like that Phantom Force mind game with it.
Yeah. One of the other things with Dragapult that we've seen it trended as well isn't just the Ghost Terra type. We've seen the Terra Dragon as well with Outrage because, again, this top 30 here, we only see 3 fairy types in Prim, Clef, and Wims in the top 30 for usage. So Outrage is another freer button you can click. Of course, Protect and you don't have any control. But Helping Hand, Terra Dragon, Outrage is going to nuke pretty much anything that doesn't resist, and honestly could probably nuke a lot of the things that or at least a couple of things that they can resist.
Yeah.
One of the other cool things with Dragapult is that it is, out of all of the notable Pokemon in the format, of course, like, yeah, Jolteon's faster, but you're not going to see a Jolteon being played. Adamant Pult is actually, like, you don't even need to be Jolly. Just being Adamant Pult, you are the fastest non-Scarf, non-Tailwind supported Mon on the field. So just talking straight natural speed, you can afford to just be Adamant and do even more damage. You don't even have to be Jolly to outspeed this format.
Yeah, it's awesome to not have like Fluttermane and Chiampao and Caloric Shadow Rider to compete with for that speed tier. Dragapult just, it's what, base 142, I believe, its speed.
Yes.
So it just is like absolutely nuclear in terms of its speed. I think that outside of it, the fastest relevant Pokemon is maybe like the Sneasler, which I believe is somewhere around 110.
So Sneasler is 120.
120.
Meowscarada is 123. But is Meowscarada even on here?
No, it's that's very niche, which I think I think Meowscarada is a Pokemon that's going to tick up quite a bit, especially with we've seen like these pledge teams run around a little bit more. Because you're able to use Meowscarada's speed stat, but Primarina's special attack stat to create the swamp to drop speed and nuke stuff.
Okay, so I thought it was based off of the Meowscarada. It uses the Prim.
I believe so. I think it's Meowscarada's speed, but I think it uses Prim special attack. I could be completely wrong, and so don't quote me on it because I haven't played pledges since I did the LRL video. Like maybe 4 months ago, but they've been popping off a little bit recently, mostly with like the Hisuian Typhlosion teams. But
so you actually are right. It does use the damage. It says it will do the damage of whatever pledge was used last. So even though it'll be the Meowscarada using it and there are special moves, it will be based off of Prim's special attack. So it'll be Meowscarada's speed with Prim's special attack using the base 150 move.
Yeah, that's that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because Prim, I don't know if you guys know this, has a pretty good special attack stat. Um, I just drafted Prim plus King Gambit for UDL this season. I
Okay.
decided last minute to play. It was the last sign up. I will not be recording my run, as you guys saw. My videos fell off afterwards. I had to reset my computer somewhat recently, and lost all my videos. So deal with it. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Well, we'll get back to it at some point. But yeah, going through the speed stats of the Pokemon here, I do believe that it would be Sneasler.
Or like
They,
Swift Swim Basculegion.
so I was going to say, but again, it's like you have to have the weather support as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, natural speed. This is the threat. In general, though, like we've had a lot of different teams, different archetypes, and let's dive into some of these teams. Starting with the winning team. This is a Double Dragon Rain team ran by Taro Okada of Japan. Um, the standard aspects of this team, you have the Pelipper, Basculegion, Arch, Gambit, and Amoonguss. At this point, when you're looking at your standard Pelipper, Arch, Ludon, Rain team, you can expect to see these five plus an Intimidator, and the Intimidator is where things could get a little different. A lot of times, people will like the standard team will use Incineroar. However, we see a Life Orb, Special Salamence in this spot with Tailwind support.
Yeah, which I think that this is a great call. Like the big issue with Incineroar is that into a lot of the popular like meta, I know we're only a week in, but like the meta teams, which are these like archery and these dozos, these types of teams, Incineroar doesn't really do a lot. It's a little too passive to really do too much against the Arch matchup. So you bring this Salamence in, who has the ability with Life Orb, Draco Meteor, to do massive amounts of damage to our Jalodon, probably close to 75% with that. You threaten Pokemon like Amoonguss with Air Slash, and you also have the ability to set Tailwind on top of all that, which is a really nice secondary mode. I was watching Wolf's stream, and he played against Taro. Um, and a lot of what Taro did into that matchup was they would lead Salamence plus Basculegion and just have the Salamence sit on the field, make Wolf have to play around it, make him have to set Tailwind or be afraid of the Air Slash, be afraid of the Draco Meteor, and just use the Basculegion to do tons of damage into whatever's next to whatever Pokemon, whatever support Pokemon he had to lead. So it's a really cool tech in this format. It's kind of reminiscent of like the Tang teams
Mm-hmm.
from what is that, Reg
That
D
was
or Reg
regs.
E?
That was Reg C through E. They were
Okay,
running it.
so yeah, long time ago. So we're finally seeing Salamence come back. And the other notable thing with Salamence is that ice types also are kind of non-existent right now.
No,
Um, we really only saw Chi and Pao as like the essential ice type. Like Baxcalibur is on some teams, Ninetales is on some teams, but outside of that, you really don't have too much ice coverage.
yeah,
So Mence's defensive type is great.
just scrolling through the list, and I'm just making sure I don't miss anything. I think the first ice type we see is in 17th place Alessandro Caliri's team with a Weavile, and we will be talking about that team. It's a very interesting set of Mons. And then after that, the next ice type, I believe there is I think we have a Ninetales team somewhere further down. That at some point I think I do remember seeing a Ninetales. I could also be wrong, or my eyes could be deceiving me. But yeah, like in general, there's really no ice
Thirty
types.
fifth.
35th,
Thirty
thank you.
fifth.
Yeah. The honestly, the thing that would actually have to deal with a little more is rock type damage, which we are seeing a lot of. Tyranitar is the number 16 Pokemon used. It is an unbelievable way to disrupt these sand teams. The issue, and then you also see not only with the body press of Archaludon, which is always a threat, but the low kick of King Gambit, which not only covers as a way to punish a T-Tar lead or a T-Tar switch in, but as another way to take out opposing King Gambits, which could be an issue for this team. Gambit is a very, very popular Pokemon, and it having a move that can also solve itself is very important.
Yeah, I think low kick is actually kind of one of the big winners of this format. It's something I've seen a lot. It does a lot of damage to Archaludon because it is very heavy and it goes based on the weight of the opposing Pokemon. So you have like that strength into that. It does like a good 60% most of the time into Arch. And then obviously into your, it's good into Incineroar as well. You get that boost and then you click low kick and you do lots of damage. Um, but yeah, with the rock types and the dragon types that are running around in the format, that's why we have Salamence with Terra Steel. It really covers all of its bases, all of its weaknesses with that Terra Steel, and I think that's really really cool.
Yeah. Just a few other things to note on this team that are just differences. You do have the no protect clear spog Amoonguss. I really like that. It gives the team a great Dozo answer, which is important when we look at who came in second place. We see Snarl over steel coverage on the Arch, which would give it a good mirror match mode in the mirror match, being able to use Snarl to threaten any special damage coming from opposing Archaludon. And then you see the dual Tailwind, the Tailwind on Pelipper and the Tailwind on Salamence. The Tailwind on Pelly makes me think that it is timid, but it's just another way to get that speed control. One of the things that we notice in the teams in general, we do have the double Tailwind here, and then the Tailwind on, and like the Tailwind here. We have a couple Porygon 2s, but for a lot of the teams, especially like down towards the latter part the of Top Cut, a lot of them don't have those dedicated modes of speed control, and we are seeing that the teams that do have the dedicated modes of speed control, in most cases, were the ones to break through. Gabriel Agati's team having that with the Covert Cloak, Tailwind, Talonflame. But this is also just your classic Dozo team. Like, this is the Dozo team that you need to be prepared for going into Baltimore.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have that Glamora stuff again, where it's just going to be, with its assault vest, it's very bulky. Terra Grass is really great for it. You're able to sit on the field, get your toxic spikes up, lead that with one of your really strong physical or special attackers in Specs Goldie or Ban Dragonite. And, you do tons of chip and then let Dozo come in later on and win the game for you when the opponent doesn't have that many answers or their answers are significantly chipped down.
Yeah. Yeah, in the grand scheme, I think like the main interesting portions of the team, we're seeing the AV Glim with Mortal Spin instead of the Meteor Beam version.
Mm.
Of course, the no trick Goldango going just straight up for attack. Um, in the grand scheme of things, there are only two protects on the entire team, but on the Dozo team, you're able to get away with that because the main mode of the team is the Sun Dozo. The Talonflame, Dragonite, Goldango, they're just there to clean things up or put pressure on to let the Dozo clean up as the game goes through. Dragonite is another great Outrage Mon. Again, Outrage is a move that is another big winner with this format with the lack of fairy types.
Yeah, it's unique with the Dragonite too. It's actually multi-scale instead of that inner focus. So it allows it to stick on the field for much longer, allowing it to stay in, click a bunch of attacks, hopefully get two or three outrages off, do tons of damage to the opposing team. But it obviously makes it very weak to both intimidate and fake out. So this was a bit of a meta call saying, hey, if you want to fake out into me with your Rillabooms or your Incineroars, that's fine. I'll, maybe bring in my Golden Go or my Dozo in the back. And then how are you going to really deal with that? I think that there's also unique spins with like how Agati could have played this, like leading the Dragon Knight Glamora, doing a one for all switch into Dozo Giri, letting them do the chip damage, and then bringing Glamora and Dragon Knight in the back, to come in afterwards and then also do the damage. This team is really cool. I think that it had a bad matchup into like the clear Smog Amoonguss that Taro brought, but obviously second place is no slouch. Winning $575 is fantastic, and Dozo is truly back in this format. I mean, it's something that we kind of said was going to be really really solid, and it's proving itself to be solid, but not in like that dominant fashion
Yeah.
that we saw originally.
The good Dozo players are very good,
Yeah,
and as you could see, it's Gabriel is a not just a good Dozo player, but a great Dozo player. We're going to go to our first Italian, and honestly, these teams are kind of paired off. So Fede Campo and Marco Silva both brought the same six Mons with a slight change to the teams. So what we're seeing here is Marco's team. Marco finished in third place. So he ran a no protect Amoonguss as well, going with that clear smog over the protect, a substitute Ursaluna, and a Terra fighting Porygon 2, while
Fede actually came in
I'm
third
sorry,
place.
Fede ran
Marco
that. I
came in
was looking at the
fifth.
wrong one.
Yeah, Fede
Yeah.
Fede has Protect on his Amoonguss, and it's actually Terra Psychic on the Amoonguss, which is very unique.
Okay. Yes, I have. I just realized I have. I have. I was looking at the wrong tab because I have them both
Yeah.
up. So yes, the one you see on screen right here, Fetty has the Earthquake Ursaluna Terra Flying on the P2 and a Protect on Amoonguss. While again, Marco, as I said, has the Clear Smog, the Substitute, and the Terra Fighting. Both Amoonguss are Terra Psychic, which I believe is the first time I've ever seen that.
It's probably just for like the Psy spam teams, I imagine. Like the Terra Psychic takes into account the expanding force, but also allows you to not be weak to
To
like
Gallade.
Hatterene and Gallade's both Sacred Sword and Dazzling Gleams.
Okay.
So that is more than likely my assumption. Although this team does not have like a negative size spam matchup with T-Tar, Goldie, Incin, and Amoonguss. With the Terra Psychic Amoonguss. I don't know exactly what Terra Psychic is necessarily for outside of that. Uh, like the matchup seems fine overall, but yeah, I like these Trick Room teams. A little reminiscent of like Nils Dunlap's EUIC team with the P2 or Saluna core. A little, you have like the T-Tar plus Steel type, similar to like Michael Zhang's regional winning team as well.
Yep.
I like these Trick Room teams a lot.
Yeah, the Amoonguss Ensign P2 setup Goldengo is just straight out the book of Scotty Wafuchi. This team just feels like a lot of the really cool stuff that we saw towards the from EUIC on in Regulation F in terms of, again, as you said, the Terraflying P2 with Ursaluna as your Trick Room mode, the setup of Goldango on these teams supported by Incident and Amoonguss just switching in and out, and honestly P2 also being a pretty good offensive force. It's if you get that download boost, you're able to put a lot of damage out. Tyranitar is another Pokemon that can work well in Trick Room and out of Trick Room with redirection and fake out support, and it is an unbelievable way to disrupt the weather teams that we're seeing be bountiful in this format. Um, I know that T-Tar's another Mon this format where you and Carter were lower on it, and I think we all settled on putting it B tier, and I was leaning a little closer to A. I think it's like in a B plus tier. It's more
Yeah.
so a great meta call for this moment. I think Tyranitar teams are very good. I think dedicated Sand teams aren't as strong. We do have, I believe, Later on, we probably will talk about like the Sicilian Sand team, which it's a T-Tar Garchomp team. I think your sand rushers aren't good in this format. Like Excadrill just doesn't do enough. That's just my take. Um,
Yeah, Excadrill is kind of weird in this format, but yeah, like the D-Tar is really solid. I think that like its bulk with the Assault Vest is nothing to laugh at. The lessening of Incineroar in terms of its meta, grip is also very positive for it. Um, but like, if you guys haven't noticed yet, this format is like so incredibly open.
mm,
Like, there's so much that is good. So you can really kind of find ways to stick in place a ton of Pokemon into a ton of different teams and make it work. Like T-Tar doesn't have that dedicated sand mode here, but with Golden Go, you're chipping away, opposing sashes, and Goldie and Ursaluna are both immune to it. You're able to also stick in that Terra Flying to deal with the Amoonguss, while also allowing your Ursaluna to go off with Earthquakes. Like this format's really cool. I think that there's just so much that's so solid that you can
yeah,
bring on most teams.
yeah, and honestly, this fourth place team ran by Stefano Greppi, another Italian, is just another example of it. If I told you on January 1st that hey, we'll be in a format where Clefable, Sneasler, and Primarina are all really really good Pokemon to use and are on a top four team in a high end grassroots, you would have institutionalized me. You would have said Clefable, you mean Clefairy, right? And I would have said no, Clefable, and you're like, okay,
Clefable.
Angelo, Looneyman, now let's go.
Yeah, well, Unaware just so happens to be a pretty good ability. When Dozo can't actually get its boosts and not do the damage that it wants to do, uh, you're typically in decent spot space, and then you have Haze on the Primarina. I think Primarina is like the winner of this recent format. It's just
Absolutely.
been absolutely incredible. It's one of the few fairy types. It's also a water type, which is extremely positive for it. And there's so many different sets for it. This one is throat spray with haze. So you have like the hyper voice and the haze. So you can use that both in your dozo matchups while also kind of just using it as a super strong special attacker. But I've seen Calm Mind, I've seen Terra Grass, I've seen Safety Goggles, I've seen, there's just so many options for it. Terra Poison is pretty unique. I think that it's a really great defensive typing, especially because outside of the Ursalunas, ground types are kind of non existent right now either. So poison types are not necessarily that threatened by too much. And Sneasler's also really cool. Like the Grassy Seed Unburdened stuff with Terra Stellar on this set is really fun. And you're rolling your Dire Claw. Let me put you to sleep. Which, speaking of, every time I've been hit by Dire Claw in this
You've
format, I've been
been
put to
put to
sleep.
sleep. Yeah, no,
Every time.
Sneasler's in a really good place. It's a super fast Pokemon. It's able to do a ton of damage. The Unburden makes it just that much faster. You get some really great bulk with the Grassy Seed. And it's one of those things, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, the Rilla, Gambit, Clefable, Volcarona. You have the double setup modes, and you also have like a bit of setup as well with the Prim, with the Throat Spray. Rillaboom is your fake out mon. The Grassy like all of these Pokemon love having Grassy Surge. Grassy Surge with Lefty's Volt, you're getting like an eighth of your HP back every single turn. Once you get a Quiver Dance or two up, this mon is not going down. The Clefable plus Prim pretty much sets up your um, Dozo matchup perfectly, and the Sneasler is like your built-in fast mode of a mon that you don't need to dedicate a lot into. Bringing it with Rillaboom is great. Having it be sent out after Rillaboom with the terrain still intact is awesome. It also threatens opposing Rillabooms. Like fake out, so close combat Dire Claw. When you look at the top mons in the format, that threatens your Rillaboom. It threatens your Gambit. It threatens the Arch. You
I
okay,
dropped
bud?
my I dropped
Your ring
my
light.
ring light fell over. Yep, sorry guys.
The pains of recording in a new space.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to. Also, it's very loud here, so I'm gonna do my best to make sure that it's not too bad for you guys.
It's. I think it's been fine. As
Yeah,
we're saying,
just wait till the fire trucks come by.
okay. Um, but as I was saying, in general, the fighting poison offensive coverage is just really really great at this point in the format. I like it was in the top 30 for usage. I wouldn't. It's a mon that I'm not saying like it's unbelievable. Keep it in the back of your mind if you're going to Baltimore. You might go up against it. It might, and if you're, it's a mon where if you are unprepared against it, it's like one of those things where you sit down, you realize, oh wait, I don't have anything into it. So just know what you're going up against.
Yeah,
Um,
it's also very flexible. Like you can run this not only on these grassy terrain teams, but also with Indeedee on spam like psychic teams. You can run it like on spam or non-committal Indeedee teams, or you're just using it as like a priority and follow like priority blocker and follow me user. So I think Sneasler is actually in a really good place in this format.
yeah, I think one of the other things I just want to check. I'm just basing this on just a base arch. The one from Nerd of Now.
Oh,
So
you KO it.
it's not 100% close combat on an adamant 252 Sneasler into a 252 HP 4 defense arch. It's a coin flip, but that is where that Stellar Terra comes in. You can if you Stellar Terra, you 100% OHKO it. And if they do go into the fairy or grass type, your Stellar Terra is doing about, it's a guaranteed 2-hit KO, but you're doing 81 to 97% into it. Easy chip, like if you have some chip damage on it, you're really picking it up. And that is a nice thing with the Stellar Terra. We're getting a lot of use out of it right now. These people have realized these frailer attackers, these Sashmons really, really like the Stellar Terra because in the grand scheme of things, you're only going to get 1 or 2 hits out with the mon anyway in most cases. Might as well make those count. We saw that earlier with all of these stellar Urshifu waters at Worlds, and we're seeing it pick up even more.
Yeah,
Moving on,
Stellar Terra is on a big boom right now too.
yeah.
Get that
Um,
one big boom.
moving on to sixth place, Tiago Latanzi. Jesus Christ, I can't talk today. Um, I messed up the intro. The first one, it was going great until I
And the
just
second one.
the second one and the third one was just because I was laughing too hard and then you clapped. The first one was going great and then I just couldn't talk. This is another super interesting team. Like the Volcarona and the Gambit are popping up a lot, but we're even seeing different sets. This is still a Quiver Dance Volk. However, you have the Life Orb item on it. The Gambit is Terra Fire set up with Gogs. Got the goggles because you don't want you don't want those sucker punches redirected by Rage Powder, or nor do you want to be put to sleep. You have the Naked Arch No Rain, a dry bridge, as they would say, with Flash Cannon, Starl, Body Press, and Draco. They have Gastrodon here, another unbelievable Clear Smogmon that can do more disruption with Yawn. And this is the first Mousehold we've seen. This is not the support one that we were seeing in August, but this is the Technician population bomb wide lens version that wants to hit things really hard and just throw their kids at them.
Yeah, do you know what I hate with Mousehold? Playing best of one against Mousehold Ape, and then they click Final Gambit with the Ape and into my Archalodon, and then Population Bomb, and I just lose. That really stinks. But Mousehold has some really cool options on this team, not only as just a straight up pop bomb user into the opposing team, but you can also pop bomb into your Arch Aladon,
Hmm.
allowing it to stack its boost. That's something that we're seeing a lot with Arch recently is like Bullet Seed, Rillaboom, Water Shuriken, Greninja if you're really cool. And then obviously like Pop Bomb, Mousehold is something else that you can use into Arch Aladon and get your stamina boost stacked up for about 10 to 15% of your health. So, then go off, brother. Like, um, it's a really really cool option. I like the Life Orb Volkir as well, just allowing yourself to do damage. Um, this team certainly has a little bit of an Amoongus problem. So running like the safety goggles and the double Terra Grass on the Glamora and the Volcarona, I think is extremely important for it. I think with Arch, like running if you're running the Terra Flying on it, maybe something like Terra Blast could be a really great improvement to the team. Like you have that body press to deal with other arches, and a lot of them are Terra Grass right now anyway. So if you get your body presses stacked, they really don't want to stay a steel type, even if they have some stamina boost. So clicking a Terra Flying Terra Blast could be cool, but if they top cut this tournament. I probably couldn't even if I wanted to. So
No, you never know. Knowing you, you'll just come in 17th again, but you'll get a
19th. It
19th.
was worse than that. Yeah.
I gave you some spots, but you'll get a
Yeah,
great
I
win on
could have left
stream.
it.
Yeah, you got a great one. You would have gotten a great one on stream. Maybe you would have beat Wolf or something on his stream,
That
or
would have been
Joe.
pretty awesome. But yeah, I like this format's just been so much fun. I've actually played it recently. I've had no interest in Pokemon lately, and then this format came around, and I'm like, oh, I want to play. Um, but yeah, this team is really really cool. Um, Terra Fairy Gastron is something that's a little interesting to me. I think it's mainly because of Arch. Like you don't want to be taking body presses, but like Terra Fairy isn't that. It isn't like that all encompassing Urshifu answer that it was once. I think that maybe the Terra type could be worked around in the future. But again, what do I know?
I will say I think just being a fairy because of the amount of dragons that we are in the format,
That's true.
the ability to just be a defensive fairy is super useful in this format. You can stick around, you can yawn things, like that could be really good. Another mon that could be an issue for this team would be that Terra Dragon, um, Dragapult that could really just run through a lot of these mons if they're not set up properly. Like Outrage can just start really breaking things. So having a mon that can be like, okay, I'm a fairy now, and I'm going to click yawn into you, and you can't switch, and you're going to sleep because you outrage locked yourself, and I'm going to like protect the partner mon and click earth power into your partner or continue to spread yawns. That could really just slow down the pace of play and really help there. And the other thing is, it is, and I wouldn't say it's a perfect all-encompassing rain counter, but it does do enough into rain where it just gives you a better mode.
Yeah.
The clear smog, that spot's tough because if it's like the clear smog is the only way to hit Pelipper, you can't earth power it, and that makes things a little tough. Where Ice Beam could be better, but if you go with Ice Beam over the clear smog, your Dozo matchup with this team is a little worse, and I'd rather just be like, okay, my Glamora or my Gambit or even my Volcarona after a Quiver Dance is going to just take out this Mon, or of course Mouse just tossing kids.
Yeah, Mouse is actually a really great Pokemon in this format. And I like the way that they added both Pop Bomb, Faint, and Follow Me onto this set. Like, you have the ability to go out and just do crazy damage. Even that Faint is probably going to be pretty impressive because of the Technician boost. Breaking through that Protect, allowing something like your Arch or your Volcarona to do tons of damage as well. But also having that Follow Me option to allow your Gambit and your Volcarona to set up is pretty awesome.
Okay, so I'd say the next team that we're looking at is another. This is like the pretty much most standard balance team, or one of the most standard balance teams you will see. Kanade Mizuguchi ran it in seventh place. Again, the if you look at Lab Mouse, shout out Tim. You would probably see if you're looking at the cores for the top teams that if you're looking at just the top four, like a four-mon cores, the top of the four-mon cores are just permutations of Volk, Gambit, Clef, Paldean Tauros, and Rillaboom. These five are the balance bonds. More so, these four and these two spots can switch around. The Paldean Tauros, this is the mon that was insanely successful in Regulation A, winning the San Diego Regional. Um, Mirror Herb is an unbelievable item for the Paldean Tauros, mainly because of the amount of King Gambit in the format. This means that you can actually bring your Tauros into those matchups against the King Gambit and even into the Annihilapes, and you can lead your Tauros, get your boost, and now you have a +2 Tauros, which is unbelievable. I was playing a lot of Tauros. I have been playing a lot of Tauros. I really like Tauros Rillaboom as a water grass duo. And the one thing I found out with Tauros is that you are missing so many KOs. You are just like this close on almost everything if you don't have a boost. To the point
Mm-hmm.
where I started running Stellar Terra to make sure that like I could make 100% pick up mons like Ursaluna, Blood Moon, Arch with my close combat because it was either a roll or I was doing like 99% and they'd live on one without the Stellar Terra. Mirror Herb into these Intimidate Mons to get you a +2 fixes that all, and between Wave Crash, Close Combat, and even your Aqua Jets, you're doing so much. You are doing massive amounts of damage with this Tauros, which also has a great speed stat, some pretty good bulk. It's a pretty much a min-maxed Mon.
Yeah, the other cool thing with Taurus with the mirror too is that like if you position it correctly in the Dozo matchups, even though they're unaware, you can end up getting the Omni boost, the double Omni boost yourself, and you pair it next to Clefable, who's unaware. It kind of leaves Dozo in this very weird spot of like, all right, this Tauros is here. It's intimidated me, so I'm down to 1.5 attack, so I'm not doing as much. The Clefable's ignoring all my boosts anyway. Plus, you can like skill swap off
Mm-hmm.
the unaware into the Tauros as well, and get a double intimidate.
Yep.
And then like
Skill swap
even
again
skill
and just
swap it into the dozo. You intimidate yourself, but now that doesn't have the unaware that was once there. But like you can also intimidate spam like that, like which I'm pretty sure is what you were about to point out there.
That's why I was you. You can intimidate cycle it at which is just unbelievable. The skill swap with unaware on Clefable is also great. Going into the Volcarona as well. The
Yeah,
Volcarona giving that in unaware as well. Going into that Terra Grass where you can follow me with Clef, making sure that they can't click order up because if they do no damage that turn, and you can just keep on clicking Giga Drain and the top two terror types for Dozo have been Grass or Steel, so now you get to Fiery Dance if they Terra. The Clef with Tauros and Volk is great. And honestly, the Trickle Dango is also really, really solid into the Dozo matchup as well. If you trick the specs onto Dozo, it takes away their ability to heal. It also forces them only to use one move, which makes it highly predictable. Um, I did play about a month ago. I was in a grassroots tour, and it was fun. I tricked my opponent's Dozo. They got it revived with their Palma, and then I had them pinned where they he had to protect. And then he just messages me in the Limitless chat. He's like, "I completely forgot you used trick on me on the first turn of this game, and I can't win now because I just locked in trick protect." And I'm like, "That's okay." But yeah, like Trick. What is interesting with the Goldango as well? It's a Specs Terra Dragon. We usually see Terra Steel on this because of the Terra Steel Make It Rain with Specs is an absolute nuke. Um, the Terra Dragon does make it a little more defensive, lets it stay around a little more. We also see Power Gem over the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt being the more popular way, like third move on Goldango. This is probably due to the uptick of Pokemon like Volcarona that are weak to the rock type coverage, and you want to make sure you're able to hit them hard as well. But yeah, in general, this is just a very, very, very good six. You're taking six good mons, and it's a good stuff's balance. Uh, if you are a balanced player, you like the balance modes. I'd say as at least these four here, and then you can play around with the other two spots. Usually, in you like the Tauros is the Intimidate and Water type, and the Goldango spot you can go with a faster mode. You can go with another setup mode. Like I've seen Dragon Dance T-Tar here. I've seen Dragonite. I've seen Dragapult. Like these really strong Pokemon that in themselves are their own modes are really great in this Goldango spot, along with the Goldango.
Yeah.
The last team in the top 8 is a Psy-Spam team ran by Michael Nash. The first American to place in the top 8. And this is more so a Sun Psy-Spam team than your normal Psy-Spam, where you have the Indeedee Hat, you have the Lilligant Torkoal, you have the Indeedee Arma, and then Ursaluna is your physical Trick Room Sweeper instead of having the option of Gallade.
Yeah, Hisui and Lilligan is just so good on this team. Like, giving you both that fast sleep powder after Umon, but also that fast close combat user. That this fast physical threat is so, so good for this team. I love the power and Meteor Beam Armarouge. It's a great way to deal with Incineroar. Also, just get yourself boosted and even resist aren't taking Expanding Force very well at that point. Um, this team is really cool. Clear Smog Torkoal is also very unique. A lot of times we see like Specs Torkoal on these teams. So seeing a lot of Protect on this team is really, really good. And allowing yourself to say, okay, do you know what? Maybe certain matchups aren't as good in this team. So to stop these setup type teams, we can use Clear Smog Torkoal to try and deal with them a little bit better.
Yeah. No, this is a lot of protects for a very, very hard Trick Room team. Uh, the Weather Ball as well over Flamethrower is a great option for a stronger boosted single target attack that the Torkoal wants into Pokemon that are Wide Guard spammers, such as Wide Guard Pelipper. When we do see those in the format, you have a lot of spread damage already with the expanding force on Hat and Arma, and the eruption on Torkoal. So having a really, really great single target move helps this team as well. I think the only other really interesting thing is the Terra Steel on Indeedee with Terra Blast.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like the Porygon 2 teams, where, it's Stab, Terra Normal. It's Stab as, it's normal type Terra Blast, but also when you go to Terra Steel, it allows you to hit some of those more threatening Pokemon. Like, it allows you to Tyranitar for super effective, which is cool. Which is like the other thing with Weather Ball that's very unique, is that even when you don't have your proper weather set up, sometimes that Weather Ball is still really good. This team has some Pokemon that really threaten Tyranitar. So if you can force a Terra flying into it while the sand is up, now your Torkoal is hitting Rock type Weather Ball into Terra flying T-Tar. So I think this team is really cool.
Yeah, if we're actually, because I'm curious to see how much that would do into Tyranitar.
Probably not a ton, but it's probably like a 2-hit, I'd imagine.
I pulled up Lentar accidentally. We were not Lentar.
Max HP, max special defense.
Max special defense. It's been good for a decade. Don't change. Over a decade. Don't change it. With the sand up, Weather Ball is doing weather 252 Torpor Weather Ball into, oh no, I put in Terra Steel, not that. That's Terra Flying. I can't type. You're doing it. It's a 3-hit KO.
It's
Um,
damage.
it's damage. It's could be worse. Um, it's more than what Eruption's doing. So yeah,
Yeah, it's just unique. Like I noticed with like Pelipper, running Weather Ball and that is very cool because sometimes you're in the rain and it allows you to hit certain Pokemon super effective, but other times you're in the sand and that allows you to do more damage, and then sometimes you're in the sun and that allows you to like knock out Rillabooms and knock out like Hisui and Lilligants without the fear of missing Hurricane. So it's just like a
so
unique
actually,
tech.
so here's one. I don't know if you would know the answer of this. So for the Stellar Pelipers, since Weather Ball changes type,
I
would they
believe
get
it
a
gets the
second?
stellar boost every
It
single
would
time
even.
the weather changes
Oh my, that's so good. That's
because
what I
it's
thought
a
too. But
different
like, yeah,
typed move.
that's what I was thinking as well. But yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very very cool. But I mean, most of the time you're going to just be in sun with the Torkoal here clicking weather ball. So, it's very strong single target in sun with charcoal Terrifier boosted. It does lots of damage. So
Yeah. Okay, so I'd say we're at the point where we can just pick out a few other teams, even just commenting on the six that we see um, on these teams. Like again, there's so much. Actually, we're just going through the top 8 over here. You look at it where there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Like there's I mean, I'm gonna not count them all on pod, and I should have counted this before. There are a lot of very unique Pokemon. Like, well, there's 6. Yeah, there's a lot of unique Pokemon in the top 8. So for people who don't like how a restricted meta can sometimes, especially at least where like it's a different team to an extent, but 4 of the 6 mons are the same in most cases. Um, this is a lot different. We do have a case here of two exact replicas in the top 8, but this is also a case of we all know that Fetty and Marco just build together. And if you go down here, I believe
yeah,
there
but
was
there were
another.
slight differences between their teams too, which is
Yeah,
also cool that they improvised upon each other.
yeah, but like outside of two players we know build with each other, doing very well with the same exact 6. A lot of these teams are very different, and even going down here, we see a lot of different stuff. There are some trends that we see. Again, a lot of Rillaboom. Pretty much every one of these teams has a grass type in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a Rillaboom or an Amoonguss. Again, these balancy cores, like if you're going through even just these 3 teams here, Francesca, like all 3 of them having the Rillaboom, 2 of them having the Prim, 2 of them having the Gambit, and then you have the a Dragon type on 2 of them, whether it's Hydreigon or Dragapult, the Clef or the Electabuzz as your redirection mon. Like there's a lot of the the blueprint is relatively the same, but there's so many different mons you can put in each spot. Even Sam's team down here, where you have Mimikyu and Mimikyu and Smeargle as your spots. I'm actually going to pull this team up. Yes, you have Smeargle as your redirection mon with Own Tempo, a Focus Sash, and Follow Me, along with being a Spore Bot. And the Mimikyu with Stellar Terra being able to kit out really strong play roughs. There's a lot of dragons in this format, so having that Stellar Stab play rough with a Life Orb is huge. And you also have Curse, which is unbelievable into the Dozo matchup, too.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
think this.
This format's very open and allows you to have so many different unique takes on different teams. I love the curse Mimikyu. It's something we saw earlier on that never really took off too far. I know, I think Joe Ugarte was a big fan of that early formats.
Um,
So to see it come back and do well now is also really awesome.
yeah, I know that's a plus. Not that's a +1 was also huge on the Curse Mimi. Um, the only team with an ice type that we saw, at least the highest place in ice type team. This is one of the most intriguing teams I've seen. This is a male Indeedee with choice specs, Terra Fighting, Terra Blast, a all-in-one Psy Spam Mon next to the Psychic Seed, Haze, Tailwind, Sunny Day, Acro, Driftbloom. This is some Sword and Shield like Series 2 stuff. Actually, no, it will be Series 4 with Expanding Force and DD. But yeah, like the first team I ever built on cart used Unburdened Driftbloom. And that was over 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, you have that high base HP stat at like 150, so it allows you to be very bulky, and you have so many different really cool options. The acrobatics works really well here. This team is awesome.
Yeah. The Weavile, so Pickpocket is an ability where if you make contact with the opponent, once you lose your item, which is very easy with the Weavile, it probably, if any super effective hit is getting that Focus Sash procced, the Pickpocket lets you take an item using the triple axle or I don't know how pickpocket works with knockoff, where if you take the item or you knock off their item and it's just gone, but still, it's like this Weavile says no, no item for you. Also, one of the fastest taunts in the game, non priority fast taunt is always really really good, especially into the like to be able to shut down a Whimsicott or a Murkrow. Having that is always great. This is the first Meteor Beam Glimmora that we've seen. We've seen a Sash version, we've seen an AV version. This one having the Power Herb with the Meteor Beam to be able to let it put out a ton of damage once it sets up with the Meteor Beam.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, this is just a very, very cool, unique, fun team. Again, Pokemon that we haven't, like, pretty much the Driftbloom, Weavile, Male Indeedee, and the Blaze Breed Tauros are all Mons we pretty much have not seen. Maybe Blaze Breed Tauros in Series A little, but even not that much. Um, the main thing that Blaze Breed does over Incineroar is you just have a faster Will-O-Wisp and your fighting coverage is just a lot more useful than the physical coverage of like an Incineroar or even a Hisuian Arcanine, who was another top end um, intimidate fire type intimidator that leans more offensive.
yeah, I like the Blaze Taurus a lot, and allowing yourself to both be offensive with the Mirror Flare Blitz close combat combo, while also having that Will-O-Wisp is a really big differentiator between like it and the Hisuian Arcanine. And like you said, it's a lot more offensive than the base Incineroar is, so it's kind of a best of both worlds type situation.
Yeah, being able to hold the mirror herb is just really great for it because of the metagame. Again, with the amount of King Gambit and Annihilate. Annihilate's kind of on the low. Looking through our usage stats here, the first Annihilate we see isn't even on on a Mouse Ape team. It is
So
on.
Wolves.
Yep, it is Wolf's team, which is the Wolf's team is important to talk about. While we did talk more as like balancy or like teams that we've seen, this is the hyper offense. Like Wims, Hisuian Typhlosion, Ursaluna Blood Moon, and Ferrograph is the version of hyper offense. Is one of the it's the bane of my existence. Did not like using that because I love my giraffe and you are pretty much forced to Terra your giraffe. That's why Wolf said it on stream. He had to be Terra Dragon on the Friggraph because he was testing some games and realized that in the mirror, if he tried going Trick Room, a non like he had to resist the fire type damage or the Typhlosion will blow it up. The issue is that the Terra Normal Blood Moon always blows Giraffe up. So I've actually was workshopping a variant of like Ursaluna blood, like Ursaluna offense with Psychic Seed and Deity, because that's pretty much the only Trick Room setter that you can use right now who can live a Blood Moon and live an Eruption, um, and still get the Trick Room up.
Yeah, well, I mean that's why you have Clefairy, right? Like
Yeah,
you have that redirection. This team is like really nasty. Seeing it, watching it for like 10 rounds today was really really cool. There was just so many sneaky little options that you could do. You have the beat up whims next to the ape, which allows you to get that rage fist stack. The You also have the sunny day tailwind with the Typhlosion, which is really really cool. And then you have Clefairy with After You and the Trick Room matchups to allow yourself to say, all right, you can set up Trick Room, but I'm going to click After You, and all of a sudden my Ursaluna Blood Moon or my Typhlosion or my Annihilate is moving faster than like your Hisuian or Saluna. So have fun getting going with that.
yeah. So Wolf had what he called his cool guy strat with this team. Talking about these dedicated Trick Room teams. So Final Gambit is. So I'm assuming I can just pull up Porygon 2 real quick. So
It
Porygon,
KOs Porygon too.
yeah.
I watched it numerous times.
Well, I was yeah. So it always does KO Porygon 2. I saw it multiple
Yeah.
times. I was just seeing if it was like, because actually Wolf doesn't even need to be max HP on Annihilate to KO it, but then again, 110 base HP to 85 base. But yeah, so what Wolf would do would, depending on the team, like if he already knew he had the speed advantage, he would do Sunny Day Whims and Final Gambit into the P2. So you sack the Annihilate, you get the Sunny Day setup, and he would have Hisuian Typhlosion and the Clefairy in the back. So, like, if you're the opponent with the non P2 Mon took out the Whimsicott, he just goes Clef, Hisuian Typhlosion, and clicks either Follow Me or Helping Hand with the Clef every single turn, pretty much, and then clicks Terrifier, Specs, Eruption in the Sun, and just blows up everything. He did this against a handful of the teams that were like of these Porygon 2 teams. Of course, it wouldn't have worked as well into the team that Fetty and Marco ran, because they have the Tyranitar for that specific matchup. To pretty much get the like that for that matchup, he can't just click Final Gambit. He needs to keep the ape around. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, this was a really cool team, and again, this base of Whims, Typhlosion, Ursaluna, Farigiraf is just the base of hyper offense right now. At least that's what we're seeing. So of course the Annihilate and the Clefairy, while Wolf used them. If there's other mons that you want to use, definitely go with it. Chris, friend of the pod, cooked me, and one of the changes that he had on his team was a Terra Psychic male in like not Terra Psychic, a male Indeedee, uh, which over the Farigiraf as a way to counter that and also do Imprison Trick Room stuff. So that was always really cool. Um, Not when I was playing. Actually, the Indeedee sucked in the matchup, but the other mons cooked me. The Blood Moon Ursaluna cooked me hard, and the
Yeah.
Typhlosion. It's so weird that we're saying this with these like. When we revisit our tier list, it's going to look so bad because I'm 99% sure we didn't even talk about Hisuian Typhlosion
Or Hisuian Decidueye, who is also sneakily good right now.
or
Uh,
Sneasler. Yeah,
Scrappy
no,
with Haze. It's pretty good.
yeah, but like multipliers and math are very important, and Hisuian Typhlosion gets multipliers on multipliers on multipliers. If you again Sun plus Specs
It's the
plus
Miraidon
Terra,
of this format.
it really is.
And it's okay. I get a pass. I'm not very good at math, so
Yeah, there gets to a point where the number is just large enough where it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Any other teams you want to talk about? Other
Um,
players?
I think I'm okay. I think we covered a really long, like large basis.
Yeah.
There is like a cool like Sinistra Wheezing slacking team a little bit
This
lower,
this one
but
right
I
here,
don't.
39.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk too in
No.
depth with it because it's just like these are cool Pokemon.
Yeah.
And they found a way to make it work. Having like soft sand earthquake on the Garchomp is cool, and running slacking wheezing is also just really awesome. So good on them.
I will.
Welcome back, Reggie Gigas.
Yeah, I will say we won't have to talk about it, but I will be looking at Marlock's Enriquez's team. The Dusclops Blood Moon taking it back to Regulation E with Basculegion and Komao. Always love using Komao.
Yep.
I think Komao, with the rise of more of these balancy teams, Komao can be a lot better into the Firewater Grass cores that usually make up these teams. And again, like the other cool thing with Wheezing, and we didn't see it in day 2, but in day 1, we saw a handful of these Galarian Wheezing, Dragapult, Palafin teams. And I think that's just something where people are just trying to work out how can we make Palafin work. And that's one of these ways. Zero to Hero isn't affected by neutralizing gas. Um, the Dragapult, unless you're up against like an Icy Wind or E-Web's team, the Dragapult really doesn't care about Intimidate because not being Intimidate immune because they can't intimidate anyway with the wheezing out. So I think that's just another team to just again keep an eye out for. Um, but yeah, with that being said, Jay, take us out.
Thank you all so much for watching this episode. Make sure you comment down below what archetypes you guys are excited about for this upcoming format. Which Pokemon you think we might have left off our tier list earlier on that we're very stupid for doing so. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. Come hang out in the community Discord where we are, we're very have a lot of open discussion right now about Reg H and what's going on. I think there's a lot of excitement within the community. Follow us on Twitter at LR Lessons and come check out the Patreon and Discord supporters links as well. With that, I will see you all next week. Angelo will not because he's going to be.
So we aren't sure yet. If we're recording
Oh
Monday,
yeah, it's
I
2
can do
weeks
it.
from now.
Yeah. So if we
yeah.
can record Monday, so actually with Jay saying that this is potential like getting married in 13 days, which is awesome.
Warning! Next week.
So I will. I don't know. It's like if the pod comes out late, that means I'm actually going to be on it. If it comes out on time, I'll see you all in October.
Yeah, but also be warned that we might be a little late on the podcast next week. So,
Yes.
Yep. With that, we will. I will see you all definitely next week. Angelo might see you next week, and then he won't
Or
see
next
you
month.
after that. It might be next month. So, have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you all later. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.